Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Welcome back. From Fox Business, more great news. New data reveals a crash not seen since the Great Depression could hit in 2024. If the White House and Congress don't cut spending soon, the results could be catastrophic. As the White House continues to tout the alleged achievements of the president's Bidenomics agenda, a growing amount of data indicates that a gigantic economic crisis could be right around the corner. Most disturbingly, one important economic indicator that's currently flashing hasn't appeared since the 1930s during the height of the Great Depression. If the White House and Congress do not cut inflation-causing government spending soon, the results could be catastrophic. In 2020, during the height of the coronavirus government lockdowns, President Donald Trump and the Democratic-led Congress spent vast amounts of money to keep the economy, financial system, and stock markets afloat. Trillions of dollars in additional government spending occurred, all of which was financed with debt and money printing. The never-seen levels of money creation were fueled by policies set by the Federal Reserve, which encouraged Congress to spend more money and keep interest rates extremely low, despite warnings from economists about the threat of future inflation. When President Biden entered the White House in January 2021, it appeared that the economic crisis caused by the pandemic lockdowns would soon end. A COVID-19 vaccine had been developed, and many states have already started reopening and preparing to reopen their businesses. But rather than return spending to normal levels, Biden and congressional Democrats, with the blessing of the Federal Reserve, opted to keep government expenditures significantly higher than they had been prior to the pandemic. At minimum, they shouldn't have gone any higher than, say, 2019's budget. The decision to continue high levels of government spending, coupled with the Fed's choice to keep interest rates low and the fallout from the crisis in Ukraine, this adds to the burden, caused inflation to soar to levels not experienced in 4 decades. Prices for nearly every single consumer item, from eggs and milk to gasoline, skyrocketed. And it did. And there's a picture of FDR being sworn in. He just come in right after the beginning of the Depression as president. In order to fix its mistakes and curb out of control inflation, the Fed started dramatically increasing interest rates, and policies continued thus far through 2023. Now, this is a fairly long article. I'm not going to read all of it. Incredibly, however, the money supply, the amount of cash, checkable deposits, and bank savings accounts have substantially decreased. So is the credit card debt. It is now over $1 trillion. That means even though prices are still going up, the amount of money available is continuing to drop, putting an unprecedented strain on American families. How is Biden, put aside Trump for a minute. How is Joe Biden getting high 30s, low 40s approval rating? It's a mystery to me. The latest economic data shows the annual M2 money supply growth rate has been negative for the last 3 quarters, meaning the amount of money available is shrinking rapidly. Yeah, that's a big deal. Now, this is the line I think that's the most important in the whole article. In the past 110 years, the only other time Americans have seen the money supply drop this sharply was in the early 1930s during the height of the Great Depression. There was a significant difference this time around, however, in the 1930s, when the money supply annual rate turned negative. Prices dropped as well. In our current situation, prices are still going up despite the collapse in the money supply. To the extent we're seeing it today, this has never occurred before. Household savings. Read a little bit about that. The reduced availability of money caused by the Fed's policies and the Biden administration's inflammatory spending has created a dire situation for American families. Just when they need to borrow money, the interest rates are too high. You can't afford it. Increasing more people are eating their savings and going into debt to cover basic living expenses like food, utility, and housing. Yeah, $1 trillion in credit card debt. Survey data from the Federal Reserve shows the bottom 80% of income earners, representing the vast majority of Americans, now have less in real household savings than they did prior to the pandemic. Not good. And savings for the top income earners will likely fall below pre-2020 levels within the next 12 months. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. We'll just go through this last paragraph, and then I'll scroll through it if you want to stop the video and read it. The combination of higher prices and reduced availability of money has caused people to depend on credit cards and other forms of consumer debt at higher numbers than we've ever seen. In the spring, Americans' collective credit card debt topped $1 trillion for the first time in history. Now slowly scroll through the rest of the article here. And we'll go with the last paragraph. The U.S. economy is walking on thin ice. If prices and inflation don't come down soon, something can only occur if Congress and the White House reduce spending. Then the U.S. is going to find itself in another massive economic crisis. If that occurs, I hope Americans remember who deserves the blame. Yeah, and there's the other half of that. You know, one side's going to blame the other, back and forth. I'll tell you, folks, I'll be 67 next month, and I hate like hell to see my country and people I care about, family, friends, acquaintances, people I work with. I hate to see them struggle to the extent of the Great Depression. We've only read, there's nobody alive, basically. If they are, they're in their 90s, that lived through the Depression that are still here. We read stories, but hearing it firsthand from people that actually lived through it, it was a bad time, a very bad time. In fact, we almost teetered with the socialists coming in from Russia, the Communist Party here in the United States. We almost teetered and lost our republic, and we almost lost it in the 1860s during the Civil War as well. This is another big turning point. I don't know, folks. What do they call that? The fourth turn, fifth turn, whatever it is? We're going to have to see, but this is not good news. Because I am not optimistic that the White House and the Congress, even controlled by Republicans, might spend less, but nowhere near less than they should. I think a lot of praying for this one, folks. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.